everybody, and thanks for checking out my review. Today I'm going to be going over the Casio G-Shock. This is the updated Rangeman. The version of this is GPR-B1000 and comes with the module 3452. So if you ever wanted to look up instructions on this before you would receive it, you just do a Google search for Casio module 3452 and you'll find full instructions on how to use this watch before you get it. So getting to the unboxing, it's a plain black box. It's actually pretty premium packaging, you'll see, but a plain black box. It's got the white and red G-Shock Rangeman on the top. You have simply in silver Casio on the side, and if you go through the rest of the box, all it is plain box on the sides and the bottom. And opening up the box, you have almost like Mr. G type of packaging here. Now, I received this pre-owned, so I didn't receive all of the paperwork and all the tags that come with it, but what I did receive was the instruction manual and the charging unit. So I'll show you. The instruction manual is a book style. It's actually smaller than you would think for such a watch with so many features. But basically, it's a module, like I said, 3452. You go through the instructions. You'll see it's in multiple languages, and it just kind of guides you through the setup there. And going on to the other side, you're going to have a red and black puck that's got slots on the sides. And what you would do is attach this to the watch. You plug it into the GPS on the side, and this gives you the ability to be able to charge it, because the GPS does take a lot of power on this watch. So if you see on the side over here, you just plug it in, plug the other side into GPS, and you can charge it. And going into the actual box itself, you have really nice packaging on the main box here. Let me move that to the side. And you have like a cushion top on the top here. Once again, it's plain black on all sides and the bottom. And G-Shock in white, Rangeman in red. Opening it up, and you have the G-Shock. And the pillow on this is really nice. It's got good cushioning. It's solid, so this way if you want to store it in the box, it's a good display for you. So that's it for the unboxing. All right, so just to physically walk you through the watch, when I first got it, I was a little bit nervous that the watch would be a little bit too big for my wrist. I do have 7.5-inch wrists, and I have no problem wearing a Frogman watch. The G-Shock GX5600 King was a little bit large, but if you're used to wearing like a Mudmaster or just one of those larger watches, you're not going to have any issue getting used to this watch. However, if you are used to wearing a 5600, the smaller squares, or just a regular size, stainless steel watch all day, this might be a little bit hard to get used to. You wear it for a couple of hours and you get used to it quicker than you think, though. So the size of the watch, the dimensions are 57.7 millimeters wide. You got 60.3 millimeters lug to lug from top to bottom, and then it's 20.2 millimeters thick, and it's 142 grams. So it is shock resistant along with low temperature and mud resistant. It's got 200 meters water resistance, and the case is protected by resin, and the straps have carbon fiber inserts, so this way they're not going to break or rip under any conditions, and they have some good flex to them as well. It's shaped really nice. It stays on the wrist pretty easy. So you can actually see the carbon fiber in there. On the case back, it is 2 millimeters thick black ceramic. So it's nice and thick, so this way it just keeps the shock resistance with no problem. And it uses ceramic, number one, for the inductive charger that I showed you earlier, and also for the low energy Bluetooth and the GPS readings. So that's why they have that there. They do have this little protection on the top and bottom of the case back, and that basically is for the ability to just keep the mud and dirt from getting inside the case. And of course, it's got the cat logo, if you could see that. So getting to the front, it's got 2 screws on the top, 2 screws on the bottom. It's got actually screws on the straps as well, so this way if you want to do a strap change, you can do so. It's got the sensor on the side over here, and you have on the top left button is your settings button. On the bottom left, you have your mode button. On the top right, you have your light. And on the bottom right, you have your receive. So this way, if you wanted to hook up to Bluetooth, if you wanted to do the phone finder feature, you can use that. And then in the center, you have a crown. It's a push button, and you can rotate it. It's really easy to rotate as well. And then, of course, you have just general information about the watch, range band below in red writing. So that's the physical walkthrough. All right, so now to get you into the settings and the different displays that you can play around with, you're going to notice this is going to be a lot easier to work with than it looks like. I mean, you look at all the features and it seems like it's a little intimidating, but it's actually more intuitive than you would think. And everything works with the buttons and the crown. The crown you have to push in really hard so you can't accidentally push it in, which is really nice. You'll notice I'm in the basic setting right now. The basic screen is going to show me the date, the day of the week, the time, and the seconds, and it's going to give me my battery life. And if I go in and I see my settings screen, I have my display, airplane mode, alarm. I could set my home city. I could set the daylight savings time, the time and the date. I could set the beep if it's going to beep when I'm pressing the buttons. I have the light, which can set the time that the light is going to read off of, and then I can unpair the watch from my smartphone. So going into the display, again, you give it a hard push, and it gives me the ability to either change it to 12 and 24-hour format. I'm just going to go into the screen settings, and going into the screen settings, right now I'm currently in basic, but I can move it into time and navigation. So I push that in, it sets it up, and when I go back into my main screen, I'm going to see my navigation trail on the top. I don't have the GPS activated right now, so it's not showing you. I'll show you later on, but you will see the time and the date below that. And going back in to the display screen, and I can go into my time and barometer, and the barometer is going to give me the barometric readings. So once again, going back into the display, you're going to see the graph on the left side, you're going to see the readings on the right side, and then of course the time and date below that. Below that, you have the time with the sunrise and the sunset. So going back into the main screen, you're going to see what time the sun is going to rise, what time it's going to set, and of course the time and date below that. And then you have one more setting, which is world time. So if I do a lot of traveling and I want to keep the 2 time zones on the watch at all times. So for instance, I have Los Angeles on the top, along with the date and the day of the week. And then I have my home time below that, along with the daylight savings time. So those are the screen settings. Airplane mode is going to turn off the GPS and low energy Bluetooth, like I was saying. I go into the alarms, and I can set them using the crown. I have 4 alarms to play around with. The first one is activated, as you can see. And what I would want to do if I wanted to change it is I just use the crown, and I could set it up for 18. I go into the shift, and you see that it'll tell you which buttons to press to be able to go to the next slot. So I could change it to 14. Next, I could turn the snooze on or off. And then that's it. Exit. And I could save it. And the setting is completed. And if I wanted to go into the home city, I could change what my setting is as far as where I live. I can change my daylight savings time. So if it doesn't do it automatically with my phone, I could do it manually on the watch. You have your time and date that you could change. And you're going to set it up the same exact way we did with the alarm before. The beep, I could have it go on and off when I'm pressing through the buttons. I have my late setting, so I could change the duration. So 1.5 seconds or 3 seconds, go back. And then I have my auto light that's going to go on when I'm tilting my wrist. Works really well too. And then my unpairing, which I'm going to keep it paired up with my smartphone. All right, so now I'm going to go through the different modes that this watch has to offer. So once again, all you have to do is press the bottom left button. And when you press it, it's going to take you to another menu that you could scroll through with the crown. and then you press for confirmation. So if at any point you're not interested in going into the mode screen, you press the timekeeping, and it's going to take you right back to the main time. So you're going back in here. The connect is going to connect it automatically with my smartphone. I'm not going to do that now. I'm going to display that later on, but that's how you would connect along with the bottom right hand button. The compass mode. So it's going to give you your bearing, and it's going to show you what direction you're going to on the top along with the arrow, which is really nice. You'll also notice as I'm going through the modes that the time is displaying in all modes as well, which is handy. One other thing I'm going to point out is when you're in another mode outside of time setting or using the crown button automatically becomes a navigation button. So it's automatically going to bring you to GPS settings. So to give you an example. And then you could just go back to the regular mode. If you got in there by accident, it takes you right back to the mode you were in. So going back over, you have the altimeter. And the altimeter is going to give you the height that you were at and the height that you're at now. So while you're going on a hike, it's actually going to show you your height as you're walking up and down mountains along with your decline. So that's a really handy feature as well. Then you got your barometer. Oops, sorry about that. Crown is a little bit sensitive, and the barometer is going to give you your graph. It's going to give you a reading, and it's also going to give you a temperature. Now, the thing that you want to know about temperature whenever you're dealing with any of these ABC watches is you want to keep the watch off your body for at least 20 minutes, because otherwise your body temperature is actually going to raise the temperature, and it's going to give you inaccurate readings. And going back in, you go down to the next screen, and you're going to get your sunrise and sunset. Nice graphic that goes with that. And the nice thing is you can actually go through days too. So you can go through the next few days. And then you have your tide and moon. And the nice thing is you could change these across the world. And you can figure out what hemisphere you're in. Northern, southern. And then you have your stopwatch. And to start it, you just press the bottom right button, stop it, start it again, stop it, and to reset it, you press the top left. Then you have your timer. And the timer is 24-hour. You can set it by minutes and hours. You cannot, and minutes, hours. You cannot set it by the seconds. So just to give you an example, to get it started, you press the bottom right. To stop it, you press it again. To reset it, you press that setting button on the top left. And to set it, you just hold the setting button in, and that's going to give me, I could change the hour, shift it over, I could change the minutes. Exit, save it, go back, and then same thing. So you could start it, stop it, reset. Then you get your world time. And to change the world time, you just go into the settings, and then you could scroll through the different countries that they have here. I'm going to Tehran. And there you go. And that's it for the modes. All right, so next up I'm going to get into the Bluetooth features. So if you press the bottom right button, this is going to walk you through the different settings that you have to be able to receive the time. So the first one is Bluetooth. I'm going to get into that a little bit. So it basically just connects right over to the smartphone. The second one is how you can receive the time using GPS. So you'll see that it's using one satellite to try to grab the time from the satellite. The next one is the time and position. So it actually grabs the time and it grabs your exact location. And then you have the phone finder. So when you press into this, it's going to connect with my phone automatically. You'll hear the time. You'll hear the phone go off, and to stop that, you just press the button. And that's great if you lose your phone. And then going back in, you have your history. So this basically just lets you know the last time that you synced up to get the time. So this way, if you feel it's been a few days, you have a log of when you actually synced your watch to your last time you received a time signal. So that's it for the Bluetooth and receive settings. All right, so now I'm going to get into the Bluetooth settings, so this way you can see how it connects with the smartphone. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the application. I'm going to see the nice little animation, and then I'm going to go to the guide, and the guide is going to instruct me right off the bat to press the mode button for 2 seconds. And once you get that confirmation, you're going to see the G-Shock is connecting. Then I get that confirmation that the G-Shock has connected. And now I could go through the different settings that I walked you through manually through the watch. Now I could do it on the actual watch. And you get a little guide here that'll give you an instruction manual on how to work around this watch. I can go into my activity. So I'm going to get into this one later on, once again, when I get into the GPS settings. But this is a lot of really good features, especially if you like to go outside, you like to do a lot of hunting, you like to do a lot of hiking. This is a great little feature here. So I'm going to get into those when I get outside. Getting into the world time that we had talked about earlier. Right now it's in Tehran. So what I could do is, if I wanted to go into a specific city, like for instance Chicago, I go into Chicago. I'll see the little animation bring me over to where it is on the map. I set it over to the watch. And then when I go into the world time setting in the watch, it's going to give me Chicago. So now it's all set. And now if I wanted to, I have settings that I could put in here. So within those settings, I have Chicago, New York, Paris, Los Angeles. So if I just wanted to go to Los Angeles, set it right over. Once again, I see that little map move over to Los Angeles, changes the setting for me, and I could keep it within my favorites. So this way, if I have specific cities that I go to a lot more often than other cities, I could just do it by the button there. And going into the utility section, utility allows me to set my alarms, and I could set them on or off, send it over to the watch. I always get that confirmation. Setting is complete. Same thing, if I turn it on, I could set it up. It's 24-hour settings when I want to change the alarm on the actual app instead of the watch. Send it over, and I could set up 4 alarms with snooze. And if I go into the timer, it allows me to change the timer settings using the screen here. Send it over to the watch. And good to go there. So that's your basic functions using the application. And then if you wanted to go a little deeper, you press the little on the top right, you're going to see that little gear. And then you can go into the connected watch, and then you have a tutorial that you could play with, app display settings. I could set up the altitude. The display settings as far as how I want my readings to display. Automatic log capture. So it automatically captures the watch activity data at automatic time adjustment. Then I have my phone finder settings. So that's what I set it off before from the actual watch. I could have it check once a week as far as synchronizing with my smartphone. So this way, once a week, it would automatically sync up. So I am always up to date as far as my time goes. I go into my watch display settings, and this is where I can go into which screen I want to look at, my 12 and 24-hour display. And then this gives me the opportunity to change my units. So I can change it from miles to kilometers if I wanted to. I can go into measurement intervals. So it'll take my intervals when I was showing you before as I'm going through a walk in the altimeter setting where it gives you the 2 numbers. This is going to give me from 5 seconds ago to 2 minutes ago. I got my screen display. I can have the number or the graph. My units could be feet or meters. Got my atmospheric pressure units. So this is regarding the barometer. Temperature units, so I could check my Celsius and Fahrenheit. So a lot of good configuration with this that would be it. And then I could just disconnect and I'm good to go. All right, and just to give you some size comparisons so you kind of have an idea on exactly how big this might be towards your wrist. So this way, if you have one of these watches or a similar size watch, you'll have an idea of exactly how big it is. So holding it up next to a 5600, very, very large compared, obviously. Straps are also thicker. And going on to a Frogman. And like I said at the beginning of the video, if you're able to wear a Frogman pretty comfortably, you shouldn't really have a big adjustment to this watch. I'd say the straps are probably just about as thick. This is just more offset, obviously. And then a standard size G-Shock 9052. Once again, the straps are much thicker. So that's it for the comparisons. All right, so now to give you a wrist shot, just to give you an idea, I have a 7.5-inch wrist. And the watch is very comfortable with those carbon fiber inlays. I don't tend to wear my watches too tight. This is on the bottom. I would say the only complaint that I have when I'm wearing this watch is that metal buckle. I wish that they gave an option of a rubber or a resin one. Other than that, not a bad wear. All right, so that's it for the brand new version of the Rangeman. So it's definitely a lot more advanced than the last one. It's a lot bigger than the last one. A lot of really good features, a lot easier to navigate than I'm sure that you probably might have thought looking at the amount of features that it has. By all means, please subscribe to my channel and press the bell under your name, and that'll alert you when I'm going to be putting new videos out. I'm also on Twitter at DougFNJ, so this way I always announce the new videos there as well. And there's a really good web forum that I go to. It's called WatchUP69 A lot of great people there, a lot of awesome discussion on a lot of different watches, a lot of different features of watches, and all different brands and types. So once again, thank you very much. I want you all to stay safe and healthy out there. We're living in weird times, so I'm glad that I'm able to at least occupy your time for a few minutes. But stay safe and stay healthy and stay inside. Thank you so much, everybody.